your life, do what is right, not what is easy.
Going around blaming your parents for the way your life is, it's a waste of time.
But dreams are only dreams until you take action.
Everyone in life is gonna fail. So if you get it through your head and you're not afraid to go ahead and try.
And if you fail, don't stop there. Take risks and don't quit.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. So this is episode 4, I believe. As per usual, I can't see. I have glasses on and I can't see. I can't see my setup. I've blinded myself by looking into 3 different lights, but it doesn't matter. Today's episode is going to be about success. I don't think that I've gotten there yet. I think I've been successful in many things. I think I've accomplished a lot, but I think in terms of like actually chasing my dreams, I don't think I've made the best strides to get there. Now, let's start. Growing up, I was a dancer. I did cheerleading, and then I got into acting, and that's kind of what I guess was more known for as a kid. I personally wanted to be a dancer growing up. It was where my heart was at. It's still partly where my heart is. But growing up, I was always told, like, oh my God, you'd be so good at acting. Like, isn't she so theatrical? She's so dramatic. Hear her do that voice. Like, so I grew up with a lot of praise for my ability to do different things in the acting world. And when it came to going to an art school, I auditioned for dance and for theater. I got in for both, but I only knew that I had gotten in for theater. I didn't know that I got in for dance because I was moving at the time and I gave them the wrong address. So they sent my acceptance letter for dance to a different house. So when I actually went to the school, they're like, you got accepted for both. Which one do you want to choose? And I chose theater. I think had I known that I got accepted for both at the time, I probably would have chose dance. I most definitely would have chose dance. There was obviously time for me to change my major and do all that paperwork, but I'm lazy, so I honestly didn't feel like it. So I fell into theater by accident. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I went to Boston Arts Academy. It is an arts high school. You have to audition to get in, and they have a bunch of different majors. And if anybody has gone there and I miss a major, please comment it down below. When I went there, because I think they took away certain majors for sure when it comes to some of the subsections that you could have went into in regards to theater. So you had your dance majors, boom. Then you had your theater majors. And in theater, your senior year, I think junior and senior year, you can fully major in something else besides theater. So I did a major in theater and I minored in costume design. So you have theater, then you have set design, you have lighting, costume design. Yeah. And then I'm not sure if they did tech and if they did film. I think film was also its own major. So you can do more of the directing and the filming and the script writing instead of acting. And then they also had the instrumentalist and the vocalist. Those were the music majors, but 2 separate things. So either you were a singer or you were an instrumentalist. Either you got in for playing an instrument or you got in for using your voice. Then we had our visual artists. So it's 4 majors, but the music major had 2 separate sections. The theater major had a bunch of separate sections, and visual and dance only had, that was their major. So I'm going to this art school. I'm having the time of my life, baby. Like, when I mean the time, I mean I was having the time of my life. I mean, my school life was also a ginormous escape from my home life, which is why I think I love school so much. I wasn't out here being a scholarly student. I was free. I was able to talk. I was able to relax. I was able to be around people that I liked and people that I loved. And it was just a great, like, you're at school, bro. And I go to an art school. I'm having fun. Let's move on to my career in theater. This school was an amazing school. Honestly, I don't know what the heck they're doing now. I don't know who teaches there anymore. If it's not the OGs, it's probably not great, no offense. I'm just biased like that. for theater majors, they would send us on auditions. So we learned how to slate, we learned how to do all the things that you would do in the real world if you were going to go audition for movies or commercials or shows. So at the time, I thought, like, I'm just learning things, like I'm just learning school theater things, but I was learning real world things, and it was so helpful when I did auditions on my own. I knew everything, and I wasn't just some kid who wanted to be here because she wants to be on TV. I knew the technical side of it, I knew the film side of it, I knew the editing side of it, I knew the set design side of it, I knew the costume design of it, I knew the vocal side of it. We were taught so intensively on every aspect of theater and set design and film and TV. We got to branch off and do so much, and it was amazing. And so, obviously, being very young, having theater, actor shoved down my throat, as well as going to this art school, 10 out of 10, it's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I'm bringing it back to that home life where when I would get in trouble, things would get taken away from me, like birthdays, TV, iPad, phone, hanging out with cousins, doing anything fun, really. And I even got shows taken away from me. So at my high school, if you were a theater major, you needed to do a certain amount of shows in order to graduate with those credits. So they designed it the same way as they did your academic classes. You had to pass your theater classes, you had to reach certain requirements. So I think I really don't remember, so I'm just going to give an example. Like, I know you had to be in at least 2 shows per year. You had to do the tech side of it, I think, at least once, or something like that. Like, you had to be a participant, an active participant in the shows that we did. And you, even if you did not want to be in the show as an actor, you had to audition. And I think that might have only been for sophomore and juniors, and I think seniors could choose whatever they wanted, or they also had to audition. I don't remember, but I remember at one point being there, I had to audition even if I did not want a role in whatever play that they were putting on that year. If you know what the Strand Theater is, we did a lot of productions there. We won a couple of awards for our sets and for our costumes. It was honestly just a 10 out of 10 overall great experience. And if that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, it is so vital to get started early, and it's really helpful. My home life, however, thought, this is just fun and games. There's no career in this. And so they took away a lot of things that I wanted to do. I remember we were doing Othello, and I booked being the mom, I think, for the audition. I didn't want a big part. I wanted like a small role. Like, I still want to be in the play, but I can't commit too much at this time. So here's what I want to do. And that's what I auditioned for, and I got it. And I think my dad was mad at me about something, and so was his wife. And so they told me that I couldn't be in the play and I had to drop out. So I wasn't able to get credits for that. They also didn't even let me go see the play. Like, at that point, because I wasn't a character in the play, I was doing set design for the play. So I was helping build the set for the play. And I remember, on the day that showcase, I'm like, well, I want to go because I built the set. And they were like, no, you're staying home. You're on punishment. I don't even know what I did to be on punishment for like 3 months at that point, but it is what it is. I feel like when I did shows or when I did things that honestly I was proud of in the performance world, I did not invite my family, because when I did invite them, they either didn't show up or they didn't take it seriously or they didn't care. And so I felt like there was a big lack of support there. And I've always had this ideology that the world is going to tell you you're not shit. It shouldn't come from your parents. And unfortunately, I got dealt, the world's going to tell you you're not shit, and your parents are going to tell you you're not shit. And that wasn't very productive for me growing up. And I had an amazing mindset where I genuinely thought I could do absolutely anything. I can do anything I set my mind to. If I see it once, if I try hard enough, if I will it, I can do it. And that's kind of how I live my life. And I think now I've regained some of that power and I live that way currently. But as a kid, it was one of those things where it was kind of beaten out of me, and I stopped thinking that I could do anything. I stopped thinking that there was a reason for me to live. I stopped thinking that I could accomplish anything because I just felt like I didn't actually have genuine support. There wasn't a such thing as unconditional love or support. Everything was conditional. I was only loved and treated decently when I was doing what they wanted or I was doing good. I was never loved through hard times. I was never loved through needing help. I was never loved through not being okay. I was never loved through mental breakdowns. I was completely mistreated and disregarded. It was only when I did what they wanted me to do or I was who they wanted me to be that I was loved. And it wasn't even love. It wasn't even a good job. I just wasn't treated like shit that day. That's really what it was. I can get into a bunch of stories about that, but we're going to skip that section of my life and we're going to move forward to how that made me feel. So I remember being in a bad spot, obviously, with my grandmother and my godmother and my aunt, and I talked about it. And I remember doing a show at the Strand. We were doing The Wiz. Oh my gosh, we were doing The Wiz, and I was doing sound. I was on sound, and I might have partly been on lighting as well. I did not audition for a role in the play because it was a musical, and I was like, the only time you're going to catch me singing is when that water's running and I'm in the shower. Not on stage, baby. Not happening here. Not qualified. So we're doing the set design. We're doing the lighting design. We're doing all that stuff, right? This was a very, very, very rough time. My dad had already moved to Florida. I'm doing this play. I'm excited about it. I invite my family. None of them show up. I remember putting tickets aside for my aunt who runs late to everything. So when she didn't come, like right on time, I didn't think I was getting stood up. I just thought like, that's her. Classic. She's just running late. It'll be fine. They never showed up. I was really proud of it. And I think when you're an artist, you're vulnerable about your shit. Like you're protective about it. You're vulnerable about it. And it's raw sometimes, most times. And a lot of the things that I did, I loved, I put my heart into, I studied for, I researched, and I was proud of. And I wanted people to show up for me. And every time there was an opportunity for them to come to a show or be there, they did not show up for me. I think there was only one show that my godmother ended up going to that was in the summer. I like did a summer thing, a summer theater thing. But that was it. I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but I don't remember anybody showing up for anything after that, ever. Her and my grandmother came, and that was it. I remember for our senior year, we wrote our own monologues and we did our own devised piece. And when I tell you, I was so proud of myself. That was the most proud I had ever been in my ability to write at that time and my ability to express myself in a way that moved people when they heard me perform and do what I had to do. They did not come to that either. I remember asking my godmother, telling her, like, are you going to come? And she said, oh, like she had health concerns at the time, which is why there were times where she could not come. Totally understandable. But I noticed when she didn't have to take care of her health, she just didn't show up. And that's just that. My aunt didn't show up. My grandmother didn't show up. At this point, my dad's living in Florida. And I remember thinking, like, damn, my dad is crappy, but I don't think he's missed a performance. And now I'm in this position where every year there's no one showing up for me. So I got to this point where I was like, I don't invite people to my performances. I don't. I completely stopped after that. I didn't invite my best friend to anything I was doing. I didn't invite my friends. I didn't tell anybody. Whenever I was performing or putting my heart and soul into something that I was proud of, that I loved, that I wanted to feel supported or seen by, I just chalked it up to, if I invite people and they let me down, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to cry. I might crash out. So the best way to not be disappointed is to never give anything you love to anybody. And that's what I did. I think I ended up inviting my parents and my best friend to a show that I did years later, because that's when I was like, okay, like I need to heal this and I need to start inviting people. That was actually the last show I've ever done. And that's the last time I've ever invited anybody to anything either. With that being said, I think now I've moved to California, right, from Boston, and I'm freshly in this, like, I'm gonna do acting, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna live life. At this time that I had moved, or the reason that I had moved was because, well, one, I started saving up. Like after I had completed, college, after I'd done my 2 years at my community, I wanted to go to a 4-year and I wanted to do that in California. So my mindset was, I'm going to save money. I'm going to live in California for 6 months to a year so I can get in-state tuition. I'm in those 6 months to a year, I'm going to work at one of the universities I want to go to so I can get further discounted tuition or financial aid. That was the plan. That did not work out. Throw it away, put it in a fire, scrap it, spit on it. It's done. That never happened. Never even got close. So that's my plan. That's my confident plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm saving up for it. Life is really bleak, but it's going to get good. And I know that I can do this and I'm going to work at it. Right. So in this space of like, this is my plan to California. I'm going to work on it. I know that I can do it. I'm going to put my heart and soul into it. I'm going to put all my money into it. I had saved a good amount of money and I had been planning to move to California. In this time, the events are in this order. I had lost my brother. My partner had cheated on me. My dog had died. I completely shut down. I was like, yeah, that bridge, I'm finna jump it. After losing a sibling, I completely shut down for I think months at a time. I stopped going home, kind of stopped talking. I didn't go to work. And then finally I started going to work again. But then I was grieving being cheated on. And it was just a lot. That's a whole other story with the details. And that's dense in itself. I'm not getting into that. But I had felt like, you know what? If I don't actually move, if I don't get up and go, I'm going to kill myself. I'm so mentally not okay with everything happening right now. The only solution that I saw is move or die. Like, that's it. I'm either going to kill myself because this shit hurts so much, or I'm going to move and try to chase my dreams. I ended up moving, and I remember before I moved, I was told, make sure that you're not running from everything. Make sure you have the conversations that you need to have with people. Make sure you heal what you need to heal, and you're not running from anything. And me being, 21, turning 22, I moved in March, I turned 22 in February. So I was 21 when I had this planned out. But I was probably 20 when I started saving for everything. And, me being young, I'm like, get out of here. Like, what? I'm not me running. I might be a track star in 6th to 7th to 8th grade, but baby, I'm not running. Like, what? Get out of here. I got this. I'm gonna go chase my dreams. Why the I'm not gonna cuss. Why the heck did I get on that plane, ship my car? Mind you, when I moved, I didn't tell a soul. My dad found out that I was moving to California maybe 2 days before I did it. And that's a whole other story in itself. Pack my bags, pack my car, get on a one-way ticket, $91 through Priceline from Boston, Massachusetts to Los Angeles, California. Also, I had never visited California before. Wow. Why would you do that? You hate it here. I had never visited before I came. I was just like, that's where my dreams are. I gotta go. Like, I don't know about y'all, but we ain't got life insurance. So if I kill myself, baby, you really gonna be asked out twice. Listen, ain't no sunshine when I'm gone. So I moved. I touched down, and I kid you not, all of my grief of losing my brother, my relationship, no longer talking to my dad at that point, and just not having support hit me in the middle of my goddamn chest like a bag of pennies on steroids. I'm asthmatic. How do you think I handled that? I have respiratory issues, baby. I'm wheezing in this heat. I couldn't make it. I cried for months. I didn't eat for months. I was homeless for 6 months. Life was not, hello? Hold on. Let me get this right. My dumbass thought, either I kill myself or I move to California and chase my dreams. Get to California, bitch, ain't shit chasing me but death. How does that work? Right, type shit. So it is at this point, right, that I'm realizing, wow, this life thing ain't shit no matter what you do. I start settling in, obviously. I start feeling maybe a little bit better about life. I'm still grieving. It took me a couple years to fully like settle in and feel okay. And I start to have different types of growing pains, different types of coming to moments. And one of the ones that hit me first was talking to people and meeting people and making friends. When I had finally made like a solid set of friends and we would like joke and talk about our upbringing and our life, that's when it hit me that a lot of the stuff that I went through as a kid wasn't normal. A lot of the abuse was not normal. A lot of the sexual exposure wasn't normal. A lot of the dynamics were not normal. And I felt like my entire identity and story crumbled. It was the weirdest feeling, never being able to fully talk about what I went through or things that happened to me growing up, because my friends would look at me like, Ho, is you cool? Like, CPS? Like, are you okay? And I wasn't used to that because on the East Coast, like, we all joke about our trauma. We're all like, remember that one time your mom pushed you in front of a car? Crip ass. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the people that I was around have all experienced some form of what I experienced. And maybe not as worse, or, maybe I wasn't as worse as somebody else, but we all had deep trauma that we were able to like relate to each other about. And a lot of them were Caribbean or Hispanic. And here there's a blend of people who don't go through that as kids. They don't face adversities and obstacles that way. And that was really mind blowing, and it hurt. And it made me feel like, oh shit. Like, if we didn't all have to go through this, it could be better. Like, oh my God. I think it hit me when someone said that their parents paid for college. I was like, what? Your parents paid for you to go to school? What? Someone said their parents bought them a car. I genuinely cannot lie to you. Genuinely thought that shit happened in movies. Like, yeah, that shit happens, but like for a bunch of people to be like, yeah, me too. Yeah, you didn't get that. Like, I was like, oh my God, your parents like you? Like, they do shit for you? That's not the bare minimum? You still call your mom? You have a dad? Like, what? You talk to the people who gave birth to you? They like you? That shit hit me so fucking hard, I nearly collapsed. Again, I never stopped having respiratory issues, people. How do you think I handled it? I'm wheezing in the middle of Skid Row for real. It's getting bad. And it was at this point that I realized, like, okay, I'm sending somebody to hell. But that aside, for me, it was kind of like in those moments, I had realized, wow, I would actually be so much further in life and probably less depressed if I had some of the parents that my friends had, if I had more support, less discipline, if I had more love, less conditions. And then I started to get really angry with my family because I felt like, well, damn, I think there was the want for me to be successful and the want for me to be great, but there wasn't a lot of the proper work to get a kid there who, one, has a bunch of trauma, and two, doesn't know how to deal with it. Okay, so my audio cut out in the last 10-15 minutes of the video that I was filming. That's fun. Let's hope this mic stays on and nothing happens. New clothes, different day. Debated even editing this and posting it, but here we are because I just want to get my last final thoughts out. I think I'm at the part in the story where I'm now talking about my brother passing. It's good that I filmed this part and now I'm filming it again because I was so emotional the first time around, and now I'm just not that emotional anymore because I already like said it out loud. My brother passes, and this was obviously hard for me, duh. But I think an extra layer to this was that I grew up praying with my godmother a lot, and one thing that I prayed for without fail was always my siblings. It's just habitual. Like I said in my last video, or I don't know if it's this video, I don't know. I'm a sibling. Like, I would do absolutely anything for my siblings, any single one of them. And the last thing I ever thought that God would do is take one of them. And so that hurt deep because it felt more like a personal attack than like an environmental circumstance. Like, it didn't feel like fate. It didn't feel like it was supposed to happen. It felt like a personal attack. It felt like out of all the things that I've ever asked for in my life and out of all the bullshit that I've ever been through, all I've ever asked for is that my siblings are safe. Out of all the shit that I've been through, all that I ask for is safety and guidance over each and every single one of my siblings. That's it. And that's not what happened. So I got really upset with God at that point, and I was like, you know what? Like, fuck it. And fuck you. And it's really crazy that that's what I was saying and thinking, but that's where I was. Like, I was kind of at the point where I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Like, I've only ever asked for one fucking thing. You put me through so much shit. You put my siblings through so much shit. All I ever wanted was for us to be fucking safe at the end of every day. That's it. And you didn't uphold your end of the deal, so fuck it. And I also felt like there was no point of like chasing my dreams and being successful, because the people that I wanted to eat at my table are going to start dying. And that just scared me, and it made me really stagnant, and I put myself in a hole. And I guess I was like spiting myself or spiting God in some way, to be like, well, I don't want to be successful. I don't want to chase my dreams because it doesn't fucking matter. I don't want to be wealthy. I don't want to take care of anybody anymore because everybody's going to die before I get the chance to do it. And if the people that I was supposed to make it with don't get to see that day, I'm going to crash out. And that was my whole mindset. My whole mindset was like, okay, well, if Niles isn't here, what's the point of doing all this shit? Because he's supposed to be here. I'm doing this for us. This shit isn't for me. It's for us. It's for them. And if they're just going to start dying off, then what's the point? So it got really dark. And that happened before the first half of this podcast episode, where I talked about school and my career, and realizing that I probably would be so much more successful and in my own light if I had the support, the familial support, and people to just stand with me when I was a kid. First, I was dealing with all of the grief over losing a sibling and what that did to me. And then I started to talk about my childhood, and that's when I was like, oh shit, like this is not normal. Like, people don't go through this stuff. Another thing I want to say, because in the beginning of this video I do have the clip where it says, don't blame your parents for where you are or what happened, because you're going to be wasting your time. I want to be clear that I'm not blaming my parents or the adults in my life for me not being successful. I'm blaming them for doing the bare minimum or less than the bare minimum and holding me to standards that were impossible as a kid. I'm blaming them for not protecting me as a kid. I'm blaming them for not showing up for me. I'm blaming them for not supporting me. I was always going to get to where I needed to get to. That's my destiny. However, I admit that I probably would have got there a lot sooner if I just had a little help, love, and support along the way. And that does not hurt. So I'm not blaming them for me not being as successful as I want to be or being where I want to be, but I'm blaming them for everything in between, for damn sure. I'm now obviously in a better place. I also feel like this podcast is such a great step into me trying to be successful, and success is different for everybody. Everybody defines it differently. Some people want a stable 9 to 5 and 2-parent households and 2 kids and a dog and a white picket fence. That's success to some people. Success to other people is $10 million in their bank account, a boat offshore, 3 houses in Italy, and no children, right? Some people's success is going home and not being abused. Other people's success is getting to spend time with their grandparents before they pass, right? Like, everybody defines success differently and what they want. And I just want to be happy. I want to maintain happiness, even though I know that's difficult, but I want to maintain happiness. I want to retire people before they have to work too hard. I want to eat and sit with my siblings. I want to send them to college if they want to go to college. I want time with my people before they die. And I want to be myself before I die. And I don't think I've done a good job at being myself. I don't think I've done a good job at chasing my dreams. I don't think I've put in enough passion or work. I think I've been in the healing part of it. And this podcast is helpful because I feel like I'm able to come here and kind of like dump everything I've been holding on to that's been weighing me down. I mean, another alternative to that is probably to go to therapy and not be on the internet. But the goal is that this helps somebody. So here I am. I feel really light after having some of these episodes. Like, if you were to actually see the ending of this episode, I was very emotional at the end. And now I'm talking about the same thing, and I'm just not as emotional because I'm not in that headspace and I got to let it out. I hope the lighting is good. I can't see because I'm blinded by 3 different lights. once again. My glasses don't work. I can't tell if this is crooked or not. I don't know that I'm doing this thing right. I don't know that I'm doing anything right, honestly. I'm just trying my best, honey. I will see you guys in my next episode. Thank you for joining. Please comment down below what you want the next episode to be about. If you have comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. I'm gonna click you guys out.